What's up, y'all? My name is Peyton, and today we are back for another Magic the Gathering deck breakdown. But it's going to be a little bit different today because this is not a deck that I built myself. Therefore, we will also not be naming this one. This is a Precon that I went out and bought the other day. This is one of the new Forgotten Realms Precons, and let's take a look at it real quick. Let's look at the commander. The commander's name is Prosper, Tome-Bound. It is a 1/4 with Death Touch. It has these abilities. At the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. And then, whenever you play a card from exile, create a treasure token. So that's pretty sweet, and that gives us a pretty good idea about what this deck is going to be about. It's pretty much all about just exiling things from your library or other people's library, and then playing those things for their mana cost or without having to pay the mana cost. Let's start with the lands. We've got about 40 lands in total here, and let's check out some of the basic lands that I think are pretty special. This one right here is Spinerock Knoll. It has Hideaway, which means this land enters the battlefield tapped. When it does, look at the top card of your library. Exile one. Wait, look at the top 4 cards of your library. Exile 1 face down, then put the rest in the bottom of your library. You can tap this card for a red mana as well. You can pay a red mana and tap it. You may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if an opponent has dealt 7 or more damage this turn, which is pretty nice. When this one enters the battlefield, you exile all cards from target player's graveyard. And this one just allows you to scry one when it enters the battlefield, just the colorless tap. Very lovely art, though. I like that a lot. Big fan. Let's move on to some of the special artifacts. Obviously, we've got some mana boosting in the artifact section. First, let's take a look at this. This is just a commander sphere, but I really like the art on that, and I kind of wanted to show it off. That is very sweet. Different than any other one I have. I like that a lot. All right, let's look at the Chaos Wand. We got to pay 3 to bring it into the battlefield. You can pay 4 and tap it. Target opponent exiles card from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then put the exiled cards that weren't cast this way on the bottom of that library in a random order. Which is very fun. You pretty much just get to take control over somebody else's cards. We've got an Ebony Fly here. You can tap it for a colorless, or you can pay for, roll a d6 until end of turn. You may have Ebony Fly become an XX artifact, insect creature with flying, where X is the result of the dice roll. And whenever Ebony Fly attacks, another target attacking creature gains flying until end of turn, which is very nice. And this is the Bag of Devouring. Whenever you sacrifice another non-token artifact or creature, exile it. All right? You can pay 2 and tap it to sacrifice another artifact or creature, and then draw a card. So this is kind of a card draw engine because right here, we can just pay 3 and tap it to sacrifice Bag of Devouring. Roll a d10, return up to X cards from among cards exiled with Bag of Devouring to their owner's hands, where X is the result of the dice roll. So pretty much you just send away artifacts to draw some cards, and then you bring them back. Hopefully you don't roll a 1 after you've just got rid of 5 good artifacts. Let's take a look at these over here. These are non-specific ways in the deck to get tokens, treasure tokens. We have this one, Reckless Endeavor. Roll 2d12 and choose 1 result. Reckless Endeavor deals damage equal to that result to each creature. Then create a number of treasure tokens equal to the other result. This is pretty sweet, and I like the ones that leave it up to the roll of the dice, because if you roll 2 12s, you're really not doing yourself any favors. It's probably going to be a board wipe, and then you get a bunch of treasure tokens. But that's not too bad for you, but it's still pretty unsatisfactory. Then we have this card. Whenever one or more creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create 2 treasure tokens. Oh, gotta love it. Big loud car. Cool guy. And then you can pay a black, sacrifice X treasure tokens. Target creature gets -X, -X until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. And then we have Enchant Creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, you create a treasure token. It doesn't have to attack you, it can just attack, which is pretty nice. When you goad a creature, it's always nice to get treasure every time it attacks. Because, yeah, it'll happen often, you'll see. These are just some special cards for building up an army. These are mainly like the combat heavy cards. Whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may pay a life equal to its mana value. If you do, put it into the battlefield under your control. It's a warlock in addition to its other types. If a warlock you control would die, exile it instead. This is very, very good. This is a badass card. And it also looks really sick. I don't know if you can see that. That looks really good. Okay, let's move on. We've got the Warlock class. Pay a black to bring it onto the battlefield. It is an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. You can pay 1 and a black to upgrade this to level 2 so that happens, and when this class becomes level 2, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest onto the bottom of your library. And then we have pay 6 and a black. To get to level 3, at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. Damage causes loss of life. That's a really weird thing at the end of that. So yeah, once the Warlock class reaches max level, if you swing at someone for 30, they take 60. Very, very fun. Very fun card right there. Oh, we also have Death Tyrant here. Menace. Whenever an attacking creature you control or a blocking creature an opponent controls dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Return Death Tyrant from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped if you pay 5 and a black. That is very sweet because it doesn't specify non-token, so when people have token blockers they can just use to kind of slow you down, you actually benefit from their token blockers, especially because most of them are probably 1/1s. Let's move on to the next little section. These are cards that help you exile things and then cast them from exile. We have this Goblin Wizard over here. He's got haste. Pay a red and tap it, exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Or you can pay 1 and a red and tap it, sacrifice this bad boy, and cast any number of cards exiled with this Izzet Chemister without paying their mana cost. So, you spend a few turns getting rid of instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard that you've already cast and had fun with, and then bring them all back for free and cause a lot of havoc on the board. That sounds like a very good deal. Whenever a Chaos Channeler attacks, roll a d20. If it is a 1 to 9, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. If it's a 10 to 19, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. If it's a 20, exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. That is very nice, and I love the d20 roll there. Classic D&D. All right, let's move on to Fevered Suspicion. Each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among those non-land cards without paying the mana costs. That is very good, but let's look at what happens with the rebound. If you cast a spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. Oh, so someone has to get hit by this twice. You get to steal 2 creatures from target opponent. Very nice. This one's more specific. It allows you to kind of control how much you're taking. Exile the top X cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards, and you pay X and 2 red to cast it. This one, you pay 7 and 3 red. Exile the top 7 cards of your library. Until the end of your turn, you may cast those spells from among them. If this spell was cast from your hand, add 10 mana of any color. The 10 mana pretty much just seals the deal right there because it actually allows you to cast those 7 cards that you have in your hand. So those are those ones that I've chosen to show. And now let's look at some of the better removal in the deck. We're going to highlight these cards. Destroy 6 target creatures, very nice. Target player sacrifices a creature, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness, and it has a rebound, so you can bring it on back. And do that twice. Very nice as well. Destroy target creature. Its controller loses life equal to its power, plus its toughness. That is very, very dirty. If you've got a 10/10 on the board or like a huge creature, for example, in my landfall deck, I have creatures that have power and toughness equal to the amount of lands I control, so they have like 24, 24. Then I would take 48 damage and die 100%. Because this person gets to choose the target creature. And then you can suspend, where you suspend 5, pay 1 and a black. Rather than cast this card from your hand, you may pay 1 and a black and exile it with 5 time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter. When the last is removed, cast it without paying its mana cost. That's very sweet because it is a pretty expensive card. There's a reason it's expensive. It obviously is very good. So I guess if you just want to wait it out, you can always just pay 1 and a black to cast this expensive card for very, very cheap. Destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. Gotta love that. And destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. Very, very nice. We know how much we hate regenerating creatures. All right, so that has been this breakdown of this Precon deck. I did not build this. I'm probably going to break this down and completely turn it into something else. I'm not a huge fan of the way this deck works, but that is okay because not every deck is for every player. That is why we are allowed to build our own and create our own. Just a little reminder, when I make these videos, if you get frustrated that I don't go over all the cards, it's because I don't want to make like 30-minute long videos where I read every card. I'm just highlighting the cards that I think are the most particularly special in the deck, the ones that I think are the best. There's a lot more in here, and there's a lot of fun stuff in here. This makes me very, very excited for the future Precons I'm going to buy, and the future just into the Forgotten Realms I'm going to buy. Because this is the first one and the only one I currently own, and there will be later videos where I break down the other decks as well. And maybe even some that I build just from the cards that I get from this, what's it called? Season? I don't know. All right, this is going to be it for this video. I hope you liked it. Peace out.